Hello everyone out there. This is a video about prostitution, whoremongering, and the ever popular ROI, the return on investment, or return rate of interest, or however the fuck you would like to say that acronym. So I'm trying to convince a few of my friends, or just random people, men, whenever I say people, I just basically mean men, that prostitution is the optimal way for men to live within the way we have everything set up. And it's really been that for, since the dawn of time. I mean, marriage is a form of prostitution. It's one of the oldest forms of property transaction known to man. And it's the optimal for men. It's not for women. It really isn't for women. Women, they need a hell of a lot more than what we desire from prostitution. Now, as far as some people doing comparisons and things, when trying to convince other men that prostitution is the way to go, they often fall on deaf ears, and it's usually by a statistic that backfires for us, which we use money more often than not. We try and use the comparison of money, the expenditure of it over time, short and long term, as a justification for you to go, and instead of wifing up a bitch or doing whatever where you lose a lot of just capital, period. Time, human, and money, capital. You just lose a lot of that over time. It rarely ever even stagnates. What you need to know is that it backfires a lot when we say the money thing, because as men, we have to understand that money is not our main priority. Satisfaction in life is our main priority. But a lot of these chump men, they often do use money as a sort of form of, well, even if you average it out to where I sleep with her once a week for a whole year of a relationship and it comes out to $35 every time, it's nowhere near as bad as $100. They do not get immediately that their satisfaction's on the line. They don't get that at all. And they try and say bullshit lines like, well, I love my girl, I actually like being there for her, I like hanging out with her. No, you fucking don't. Dude, I do not like learning about the stock trade. I really fucking don't. Because there's so much government bullshit involved. It's nowhere near as simple as it should be. It should be unbelievably simple. It's not. But do you know why I say stupid things like, well, I'm actually looking towards maybe going and trading for uranium or whatever the fuck. Because I'm trying to convince myself this shit is worth it. That this juice is worth the squeeze, but sometimes it's fucking not. I have to realize that real quick. I'm looking at ETFs, and they're really, really fucking appealing compared to regular-ass stocks. But that's what you're doing. When you say, I like hanging out with my girl, I like doing it, dude, you don't! There's no way you do! At all! You're wasting your time, and what's worse is you're in such a denial and cognitive dissonance that you are making up these bullshit, corn-fed decisions that don't fucking matter. You are hindering your progress. Now, you spend a year with the broad, and you have mando sex once a fucking week. Now, let's go a little bit more idealistic with it, just to show you how bleak this really fucking is. Say her pussy doesn't lose value for that whole year, right? It's stagnant. It's just nice and stinkless pussy. It's just the same beat meat, right? Like, because there's some chicks, like, if you've been with a girl for some time, you'll maybe eat her out a little bit, and then you'll feel something a little bit rough on the side, and you'll realize that it's a little streak of, like, dried up blood flaking and clotting from her last period that she didn't quite scrub out all the way during her little moments in the shower. Yeah, you know, just random Klingons and shit like, say that does not fucking exist for these 52 weeks. By the 10th week, you're still fucking the same pussy. Alright? But say, alright, you use all her holes. You're even more bored now, aren't you? You have to make up some shit. Like, there's only so many things that a woman can really do with all of her holes until you really genuinely get bored of her and you have to start making up decisions as to why you're with her that in no way involves sex. Because when you do involve that, you realize, fuck, I'm lying. I am lying to myself. There are other, like, variety in vagina is not an illusion. It's definitely not a fucking illusion. I've looked at more than 2 vaginas. They're all different. Fuck! So when you realize that, it helps. It really does. It starts breaking all this shit that you forced on yourself to fucking accept. And when you start looking at things like, well, he paid $100 for his prostitutes, or whatever, for one whole day, with 2 women, you know, but even though it's at $50 a piece for the whole day, like, you know, I had a whole week, and it was $35, right? Because I had sex with her once that week. No! No! Dude! You spent the rest of that week taking her bullshit, taking her stupid shit tests, taking every single little facet of time, tit-suckling misery from this bitch. And you'll never get it back. There's only one way to where you can actually make an investment with your time which actually pays off. Because you'll never get physical time back. You will never get an extra year by investing 2. You will never do that. But you can amplify your time. For instance, you spend a year doing a certain trade or craft or whatever. You can become far more advanced in that craft just by, like, years in advance by spending time on that craft than you could have by just having it as a small hobby. That's the investment of time we have to make. And whenever you invest it on women of any caliber like that, unless you have shackles on their neck and wrists, unless you've brainwashed them, unless you've done shit like that, it's not really a great investment of time. And even with those, you still have to feed her. You still have to fucking make sure everything goes well in that regard. Even if she's doing your laundry, even if she's doing the fucking Stepford housewife thing, it is still a fucking cost that is nowhere near as good as having different prostitutes, as being able to constantly get young, different pussy. It's just not worth it. And that sucks for some men. Because they think, well, if my bitch just is a little bit more Stepford or a little bit more traditional, the juice will be worth the squeeze. No, it won't. It won't, you dumb cunt. And you have to realize that really quickly, dude. And then the last bastion, after someone like me beating the shit out of you going, dude, the money is worth it, all this shit, they'll go and they'll say the question. They'll say it. Okay, fine. Let's humor this. Alright, you optimize through prostitution. You never have to see this bitch again. You don't have to spend the amount of time courting her. You don't have to spend the amount of time taking her incessant bullshit. You actually get to say, I want a refund of my money if she goes out of line during your day you have her, or hour, or whatever the fuck. But what about these assholes that spend a ridiculous amount of money for the same experience that you can have for less than that? Well, there's a simple answer. In fact, there's 2. The first one is very keenly obvious, which is not all men are great barterers. Not all men are great. Some men even feel that generosity is given by paying way too much to the prostitute for the services rendered. That's not generosity. That's you being a fucking idiot with a smile on your face. Now, the second thing is this. If you're, say, you go to Angela City, right? And you get 2 nice-looking Filipina girls, right? And you pay them $1,000. Both of them have to split up $1,000 somehow for the whole day. They don't have to work the rest of the year. For the most part, they don't have to work. But what you did to them, whatever the fuck it was, you leave with a smile on your face. They leave with therapy. They need therapy. Because what you probably did was therapeutic. What you did probably was illegal in most countries ever. Like, it could have been anything from burning them a little bit, you know, scolding them with some hot water, or maybe they were dressed up as a penguin panda hybrid mascot. Whatever the fuck floated your boat. But if they agreed upon it, and you paid them, then fuck it. And you get to have that. That experience is in your mind, and you have the smallest amount of guilt feasibly fucking possible. More often than not, you have no guilt, which is a very important thing for men. You have no guilt about the situation. You always have some sort of clinging guilt about failed relationships, about a failed girlfriend or someone you liked or whatever, not because of them, but because it was a bad investment, it was a bad call on you, and you should have actually known better, because you know better now. But what's worse is that you could have seen that you could have known better back then. It was glaringly obvious. Now, with that, you should understand that it is the optimum method for getting what you need sexually, what you are paying for, as far as time, as far as your resources, as far as your money. And best of all, it gives you the peace of mind you need to move on. You do not need broken, fucked up baggage by being with some broad. Period. You don't need shitty fucking once a week stinkless pussy sex or whatever the fuck as your ideal. You need that as your expect-fucking-tation. But we don't have that a lot. And that's why I'm trying to spread it around. I'm trying to spread around the fact that prostitution is actually quite good for men. It's definitely not for women. I might talk about that later on, but the fact is, if you are in a relationship, like, and I understand there are MGTOW that are married or that are trying relationships and things like that, I'm just saying, dude, fucking realize that it's an ROI. Don't think of them as a human being. Please. It makes your life way simpler, and let's fucking face it, when you look at a woman as subhuman, she gets really fucking turned on by you. Not by, like, you know, you clubbing her in the fucking head. Well, not all of them. But generally, you know, just the subhuman shit they like. It's all in the confidence and the keenness in which you apply it. It's very interesting. But I hope this helps. I hope that you all can look at this and go, fuck yeah. I'm going to learn a little bit more about whoremongering. I'm going to learn how to optimize my life, at least within the sexual sense. You know? Whatever may come. Enjoy yourselves. And stay bad, motherfuckers.